Hello.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
What do you mean, you monkey? The fuck does capricious mean, monkey? Hi, Jack. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. I am glad. I now have not one, but two Wukong experts in my chat. Capricious knows a little bit of about the Journey to the West, and Jack, you know a little bit more about Journey to the West, so that is going to be good. This is going to be helpful for me as I go through more of Black Myth Wukong, because, fun fact, I've learned that there's a YouTube channel called, like, Sarcastically Superficialist or something like that. Basically, it's this girl and a dude. They do, like, these, like, explanations about, like, tropes and all this different stuff, and they've got, like, 12 episodes worth of Black Myth not Black Myth Wukong, but 12 episodes worth of, Journey to the West lore and shit like that, where I learned that, like, Wukong's not even the main character, technically speaking. There's just a lot of establishing lore nonsense that has Wukong at the start, before he's, like, shoved under a mountain by the Buddha who puts a seal on it. And then you, like, jump skip over to, like, 200 years later, where it's like, we need to get the, we need to have a person from the east travel west to pick up the scriptures and bring them back again to do some sort of Buddhism thing. And so they get, like, this monk dude who's, like, a long-lost descendant of, like, a bug or something like that. So I am slowly understanding. I've never read the damn book. Wukong is just famous enough that you know about him. Fair enough. But it sounded like, I don't know, it just sounded like you and Capricious had, like, a little bit of knowledge about the monkeys and all the fun little stories and what have you. So, there was that. Any whoosies. No more dicking around. We're going straight into the Black Myth Wukong stuff. So, I did a little bit of offline grinding and what have you, so we have all kinds of different stuff. So we have this wine brew thing, where if it's below half, it does, like, a huge amount of thingy. But really, we're sticking to the Jade Essence, because it gives us mana. So, I was able to go back and find a thing called Tiger Relic, which moderately increases the critical hit chance, which is very helpful for me. And I can reignite my spark into something. So, I've done, like, a lot of different staff things, and I want to keep on going with more of this. So the idea, staff, holding while remaining stationary. Following a light attack with a heavy attack performs a tactical retreat. They force backwards. Following it with another heavy attack consumes a force point that unleashes a forceful thrust. If I do instead a charged heavy attack, I can hold the light attack to do the flurry of blow things, which, you know, increases the critical chance for a short period. This makes it so that following whirling thrust with a heavy attack to do a tactical retreat, which would then let me be able to do this thingamajiggy again. Upon performing a tactical retreat with the enemy seen through, executing another heavy attack initiates a forceful thrust to grants. I don't know how to exactly do that one. Staggering and repelling enemies takes increased damage from charged. I think this one would be good. Sure, upon exempts all stamina cost. Alright, I'm gonna at least get this one, because I think the Relentless will help us out. But yeah, in future, we're gonna go for more, like, mysticism, like, level progression and what have you. Now, last you saw us, we were over in the Chapter 4 area. The Monkey Magic TV could be blamed for. Is that a Hanna-Barbera, TV show? I have never heard of this TV show before. I have never heard of this Magic Monkey TV show. If someone told me, hey, come to my house, we're gonna go see a magic monkey, I feel like I'd have to call the cops. We're gonna see an auspicious leveling habit. No, I've not seen Magic Monkey TV show. You know what Monkey Magic. You know what I have seen? The Magic School Bus. That was a good magic show. Ah, here's our pig dude with the rake. I forgot his name. Monkey Magic is your dad's favorite TV show.
Here, kid. We should take a look.
Still, never heard of it before. Alright, absorb these. Thank you. But yeah, so we're over in this area now. So we got, like, these bug things. So yeah, we got these, like, weird grasshopper fuckers. But I can just do this. So yeah. It was in the 70s. Fun fact, I didn't grow up on the 70s, did I? I was born in 93 and bullshit. Oh, fucking spiders. Fuck you. Fuck every single one of these fucking spiders. This is not gonna be a fun area if I have to deal with spiders, like, every which way. Ugh. You. Oh, no. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck you. Zhu Beiji is just so fucking cute. This guy? This foul-mouthed, like, pot-belly dude? Surely it won't be trapped or any weirdos laying around. Thankfully, there's not been, like, a trapped chest. There's just been weirdos laying around. Very annoying. But yeah. Ugh, spiders. Blah.
Keeping the finest finds from me? Oh, that's hurtful, kid.
Alright.
Hold your monkeys.
Who are you?
Let me fix you up a little.
Oh, okay, now I'm a fat dude. What the? Look at this dude. He's fucking huge. Monkey magic was live action, though? In the 70s.
Welcome, good sirs. The feast is all set. Please come in and be our guests.
Transformation in my Wukong game? Furries in my Wukong game? Fat pig TF in my Wukong game? Uh-oh. Cheeky motherfucker. That's a trap.
My gentleman.
That is not a normal woman. That is a woman that is like... That's something else.
Not joining us again this time.
Our lady prefers not to be seen in the lower realm. But she's been thinking of you all and sent this small token. She hopes your lady will recover soon and pay her visit up there.
It's a pity she didn't come. Or she would certainly enjoy a splendid show we've prepared for her. But now, the gift's gone and blood's been shed. I say, you two should take the fall.
We're just servants, madam. What's the jest?
Zhu Ba Jie. I know you find your look embarrassing, but why hide from my mother with another pig face?
Rude girl. Don't you know I'm a pious Buddhist? Give me your mother's name, and I'll check my list.
You heartless ass. After you ruined her house and her reputation, you're telling me you don't remember her?
I have no idea who she's talking about.
Yao Guais care about reputation.
Hello.
What was lust? Now I know. You're one of her spiderlings, aren't you? Well, well. Your rudeness is forgiven. Show some respect. Maybe I'll come.
I think so. He's normally being just called the...
Visit or not, I'm afraid that is not your call.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh, this is gonna... Fuck up, no. Oh. Quelaag from Dark Souls 2... From Dark Souls 1? Maybe. Ow, fuck you. why I'm just like, oh, fuck you. Oh, oh. Woo! Fuck you! Fuck games that add spiders, like, later on in the fucking, Uh-oh. He's not gonna do what...
Curse it! Bugs are bugs! Wearing human skin can't change your gross nature!
Yeah, sure. We are so low compared to you, a glorious admiral of the court. And the last monkey still fresh in his grave. And here you are, another monkey's sidekick.
Cut your bullshit! Get your mother to beg for mercy, and maybe I'll spare your foolish life!
Truth is, the thing you seek is right here in the hollow.
At least it looks great. That makes it worse.
To come in.
Like,
I'll destroy this rotten hole right now! Let's see where else you'd build your lair!
Why? No, don't run after... Ugh. I'm gonna be using a lot of my mana just dealing with all the spiders I don't want to deal with. Not a fan of spiders either. Yeah, look, I went through Bloodborne and, like, I was fine with, like, a lot of the Eldritch horrors. Like, there was some spooky stuff. But then you got to, like, this, church or something like that, and I was playing at nighttime with the lights off because I was just, like, so deeply invested in the game that I lost track of time. And the next thing I knew, like, I was in an area where they were just giving us a lot of fucking spiders and shit. Like, ugh. Why? Alright. Oop. There we go. But yeah, I'm not a fan of spiders. I very much, like, do not care for them and what have you. And, like, sometimes, like, it doesn't, like, if it's just, like, an aesthetic thing, where it's just like, oh, spiders randomly running along the walls and such, it's like, I can kind of ignore it. But when it's just sort of like, oh, here's a spider that's gonna jump on your face and jump at you, it's just like, nope. No, you're really engaging, like, the flight or flight response out of me right now, and the flight response is get the fuck out of the game. So I can't you know, engage it. I can't like sit here and, you know, strategize and try and, like, focus on what it's doing. I'm just like, nope. So, yeah. The game has just gotten so much harder because it's a case of I don't want to look at them. I don't want to, like, have to study the details of the spider. Ugh. Thank you, Jason, for being first to the stream! It's amazing that you were first to the stream while I was chatting with all these other people. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing, Jason? If you have arachnophobia, this might not be a good time. Cookie for Jason. Sorry, I just thought there was something, like, going along my leg. We forgore the redeem. Yeah, well, that's... I know why you forgore, Jack, because normally you're here, like, you know, hours later on and such. It's honestly impressive that you're here, like, sort of... You got here at the start, basically. Ugh. They're really gonna have me go into a hole. They're really gonna have me go into a hole. Ugh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Don't no. No 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 no. Oh no. Oh, if it's no. No, get out. Get out. I don't want to get... No! What the fuck was that? That was a stupid decision. Look, I didn't exactly have anywhere else to go. I didn't have anywhere else to go. That seemed like the obvious, like, course of action. Do you see why? Like, fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck you, game. Your worst nightmare, for real. Honestly, yes. If I fall into, like, a pit of... like, webs and shit, and there's just spiders all around me, like, that's gonna be a problem. Alright, what's in you? Antimiasma powder. Cool. That is going to be very helpful. Hyujin Yin belt hook. Jump over and escape and go to chill and drink American Coca-Cola. You know what? Fuck that. Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna get myself a Coke Zero. I don't care that I'm in a fasting phase. I'm getting a Coke. And I left the lights on. Idiot. I am gonna leave the lights on in the kitchen though. Just so then that way, like, I'm not sitting in the dark or anything like that, but I don't want to, like, turn off the lights here and then have to deal with the darkness of the kitchen. Alright. Limited edition Oreo Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Like a McFlurry. Increases defenses, deals damage surrounding enemies upon taking hits. Abso-fucking-lutely. Alright, what's this one? Successful hits with a light attack, moderately increased attack for a short duration. Moderately increases poison resistance. Alright. Alright. That ad we deserved. Yep. You did. You deserved it. Oh, Jesus. Alright, what kind of shrine is this? Oh! Oh. Serious? Oh, fuck off. Do you remember the... Like, I remember Lord of the Rings 3. You don't need to remind me. Alrighty, so... A chitin staff. Upon successful hits with a charge, each focus point slightly recovers HP. Yep, let's go with that one. Let's go with that newly crafted one. This one wants golden tree cores. Continuously gain focus for a brief moment after seeing through the enemy. So yeah, so that one's a good one. That one has upgrade paths. This one is almost through all the upgrade paths. That one doesn't have any upgrade paths. No, Rennet, give me my shirt back. No, I need my shirt. I am not dealing with spiders. I am not dealing with spiders without my shirt. No, fuck you. Fuck that. Fuck that. And went through the Shadowlands for sure and got covered in webs by a huge... Yeah, no, I know about Shelob and shit. I'm gonna need to do this with both hands. I'm gonna need to do this with both hands. Oh, rice cocoons is a thing? Fuck all you working and lurking. Yeah, you work and lurk. You will say why it got scanned, because you could travel by huge all the time like they didn't. No, look, we've already, like, the reason why the Eagles were not used was the same reason why they kept to a small company for the Fellowship of the Ring and they had a hobbit be the ring bearer. It's because any of the other like, beings that were capable of going to Sauron and what have you could have possibly been tempted by the ring, and what's more, Sauron was keeping an eye on all the forces. He was very much reliant on everyone, you know, having their own problems. Like, he knew the elves didn't want to engage, but he kept an eye on them anyway. And then there came the fun times of keeping an eye on the Isles of Man, so he, like, did all he could to make it so that men would not engage, and, you know, did all kinds of thingamadickies in the background. Fuck you. Explain 9-hour 3-series movie in less than 1 minute. Bravo. Yeah, no, exactly. So that's the reason why they didn't use the Eagles at the start, is because they needed to is that it was all for the purposes of they needed to go with forces that were small and wouldn't have been like susceptible by Sauron. And hobbits, as they have seen, have been weirdly reliant against the influences of the ring and what have you, and Sauron didn't put much thought into, oh, you motherfucker. Fuck you. Fuck you, you wall-dropping piece of shit. Fuck you, poisoning me. Fuck all of these. If this game had repellent, I would definitely use it. For all I know, that's going to be like a relic or something in the secret area. I knew it! I knew I was going to get fucked over by you. Fuck you. Fuck those spiders. Instant rice porridge, cheesy egg flavor. Now I want that. Fuck you. Fuck you, tiny spider. Get fucked. Alright. So, what was the point of... How many of these is it expecting? 3 of them. The offerings to the silkworm deity, with their use indescribable for now, it is wise to accept them all as given. Noted. Spine of the spine of the sack? Oh, what a name. What was the point of this place? No point to this place. Ugh. Oven-fried fish fingers at the moment. That'd be cool. Extendable newspaper roll and beating the shit out of spiders. Abso-fucking-lutely. Alrighty, there we go. No more weird... I'm fine with, like, weird hermity bugs like that. I'm not a fan of spiders. Sorry, I just have to check my surroundings. Just in case there's a fucking spider. Because I live in a country... Look, I probably wouldn't have as much of a phobia of spiders if I wasn't in a country that decided to give us, like... 12 of the top 10 venomous spiders. Even if you make one extinct, another one would just take its place, and it'd just be like, oh, still got the top 10. Fuck you. Hi there, Miss Sonic. Welcome to the stream. If you have arachnophobia, I do not recommend watching this stream because actually, you know what? Hang on. I'm gonna put that into the stream description. Arachnophobia warning. Arachnophobia warning. Oh, am I even spelling arachnophobe? No, I did not spell it correctly. Alright, cool. Thank you. Thank you, autospeller. Redback, the most common here. Yeah, the redback would fucking kill you as well. That's the other thing. And it's not even like a, oh, you have to go out into the boonies for it. You know how far you have to go for a fucking redback? Not that far, it turns out. And then you have, like, you know, the funnel web spider. That one is a fucking terrible one. And you know where that decides to spend most of its time? In spider webs. You just have a shit time with all these different spiders. And some of them jump. Some of them fly. You haven't seen a redback in years. I would love to go through my life with no redbacks, please. No redbacks, please. That would be a nice and satisfying conclusion. Where the fuck am I? How the fuck did I get here? Oh, seriously? You weren't just gonna, you know, move all the way down? Let's just freeze these fucking things. Bugs don't do well in the cold. Fuck you, bugs. Fuck you, bugs. Fuck them bugs. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. Every single one of you bugs. Fuck you. Fuck. Fuck you. Fuck you, rock spiders. Alright, and then there's another bug dude that's just gonna... Of course, the fucking bugs have more mushrooms than any other.
Hello!
Hi, Bookie. Welcome to the stream. There's a shit ton of bugs, and it's pissing me off. There's nothing but bugs in this thing, and some of them are spider-like, and... Ugh. It's absolutely terrible. Fuck this nonsense. Fuck them bugs. Ah, fuck you! Ugh. Quaggles ate all of his dinner that you made with spaghetti. Wait, what? Quaggles ate all of his dinner that I made. You made spaghetti. Quaggles loves free shit. Ugh. Okay, hang on. Okay, there's no spiders under my desk. Cool. Awesome. The fuck was... never mind. I just have to contend with the fact that I'm just gonna be... Okay. But yeah, nice work on the spaghetti if Quaggles went as far as eating all of it. Nice work. Nice, nice, nice. Fuck you, bug. I don't know how I made that massive jump. Alright, let's deal with you. Alrighty. So. Oh, that's having some fun moments, isn't it? Drink this, so then that way I don't have to deal with more of the poison. Where the fuck? Oh, there you are. There we go. Avalanche. Fuck you. There was an episode of the kids show Peppa Pig that had to be pulled from airing because it was teaching kids to not fear spiders. Yeah, no, kids should fear them. Kids should not just be looking at spiders and being like, oh hey, he's not gonna be a problem, because quite frankly, spiders are going to be a problem in Australia. Alright, so we got someone called the Scorpion Prince. Ugh. Ugh. Ow. Fuck. Okay, cool. And let's just pick up this thingy-madiggies. More fragrant vine. Also, I got a curio. I don't know what that does. Hang on. I got 3 of them. Moderately increases poison damage. You know, in case I wanted to do that instead. Alrighty. Fuck every one of these things. You. Fuck you. Fuck you. Ugh. Oh. Okay, how about you get out of that weird sack nonsense? Oh, no, 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 no. Who the fuck is saying big day? Why are these... Fuck you. This is a useful thing with the Lance mode. I just burst each and every one of these slowly but surely, and I never have to deal with them. Actually, do I only need 2? Yeah, it looks like I only need 2. So why are my pajama leggings getting caught? Okay, they must be above me. Alrighty. Yeah, over there. No! God damn you, Sir Dragon. Oh, they're, the fuck are they?
Big day! Big day! Big day!
Uh-oh, dagger. Hello?
I heard there's a great treasure hidden within.
Mm-hmm.
You seem smart. Why don't you take a chance inside?
Why don't you? Something suspicious with her. I don't fully trust her if she's just gonna be like, hey, treasure. Zhang River Goddess Gourd. Some fine threads. Some gins. All right, maybe. Okay, maybe she's not being. Maybe she's not being a rube. Purple veined peach pit. All right. Using the gourd grants a moderate amount of burn resistance and an immunity from lava-covered terrain for a short duration. I did not see lava in this area. Does that mean I'm gonna see lava later on and I'm gonna have to, like, prepare for it? Probably so. Be so fine, then boom. Horny. My day do be so fine. There we go. A proto-amore worm. Well, I'm glad I was able to get rid of that disgusted. Yes. Very much so, Bree guy. I put a warning on the title because there's a lot of spiders in this fucking game. It is fucking disgusting. I hate this area. I hate this level. It look, it's fucking like ugh. Ugh. Brother, ugh. For a short duration after using the gourd, inflicts a poison state to the destined one himself. No. Massively increases the health recovery from using the gourd when at critical health. Yeah, okay. Ah. The metamorphosis of armor worms is contingent upon their host. However, once more of these worms lose the ability to reproduce. It just looks like a horn. But yeah. Alright, well. That wasn't the most disgusting thing I've had to deal with this evening, thank Christ. Oh, no, not down there. Not down there. Oh, boy. Now comes the part where I'm lost. And there is neither rhyme nor reason in telling me which way to go. Ooh. Baby, why do you do this to me? Oh, wait, no, maybe that's not... No. No. Ugh. Yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. Does China just not have anyone with phobias? Has China just, like, you know, created no fear? Vesta Crystal. They must have. To just create... They must have created their citizens with no fear if they don't have to deal with fuck you. Alrighty, here we go. Ugh. Did I just... Yeah, I just went around in a fucking circle. Pretty sure I went around this place in a circle. This... Yep, this game is putting me... This game is making me lost. Ugh. This game really wants me to focus. It really, really wants me to pay attention to a place that I want nothing to do with. It wants me to deal with a place I want nothing to do with, and having to make observations to things I would not like to stare at. Where the fuck am I? In this picturesque place, meditation spots stop monks and Daoists with eyes closed and legs crossed. They sit in stillness, hoping for a spark of enlightenment. There is no spark of enlightenment in this place. This is hell. This is a cold, dark underbelly of hell that just wants to fucking murder me. It just wants me fucking dead, is what it wants me. It just wants to it just wants... This game wants me to die. It wants me to die while screaming in panic. Well, fuck you, game. I am me cursing you as I go through this. I curse your name! I feel like I wasn't supposed to be coming in here from this side, but okay. Or maybe I was? Question mark? Ugh. Just gonna be cursing this game every step of the way. Just cursing this game every chance I get. Just keep getting out of here. 'Tis a fucked up place. Oh, this doesn't seem like a battle arena at all, doesn't it? Never mind, it's just a nice, quiet, like, abode. Hey, fuck you. Fuck you, little spider. Just a quiet fucking spot. Was this where I was previously? Yeah, this is Upper Hollow. Okay. First and foremost, more anti-miasma shit. Using the gourd markedly extends the duration of the next ring of fire. Cool, not doing that. Ah! Hi there, Jonathan! Arachnophobia warning, by the by. It's gonna be absolutely fucking terrible. I am not liking this one fucking bit, by the by. I am not liking this at all. I am not a fan with dealing spiders or any of that nonsense, but I have to deal with it in the name of progressing through this game. I was able to get through Bloodborne with all of its fucking spiders. I can get through Black Myth Wukong. Give me that will. Thank you. Yes, I am bonking every single fucking one of them that I can. Alrighty, so it's not here. Now comes the annoying bit, where it seems I might have been going in the right direction earlier, but I have no fucking clue how I was. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's keep killing. Sorry, I ain't gonna deal with you right now. I have already explored through this area, quite frankly, and I'd rather be done with yous. All of yous. Fuck all of you. And then, yeah, this is the place with the loop. Thank you for reminding me that it's 7 p.m. and that I should think about bedtime. But I'm gonna keep playing this. Alrighty. Ugh. So I guess my only recourse is to go down. But I don't exactly have a good means of going down, though. Go. Hi there, Minty. If you're not great with bugs or spiders, you're not gonna like this area. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. It is my nightmare. I hate it. It's absolutely disgusting. Better bring the flame flower. That is kind of what I've been doing. I've been killing I've been killing every fucking thing any which way. Oh my god, how long has that path been there? But yeah, as you can see, fucking disgusting. But yeah, otherwise, hi! Welcome, I hope you're doing alright. I am going through the monkey game, and I am really hoping I do not stay in spider-infested territories forevers, because that would be absolutely fucking terrible. I do not want to have to deal with more than one night of monkey dealing with spiders. But yeah. Fucking spiders. I don't know how Australians deal with them. I can't stand them. And it doesn't help that whenever Australians normally hear that, they're like, oh, what do you mean? You mean these guys? And then they'll proceed to drop a fucking spider on me. As if that is somehow going to help, like, clear up my phobia by dropping a fucking spider on me. Hate him. Tea? Hello? Worry-free brew. Each sip recovers 24% of maximum health. When at crit, massively increases the recovery. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Cool brew. Don't know why there's just, you know, random tea here, but... Hello? Oh, hello again, it's you!
Blast this talisman. Those old rascals.
Hi.
On your feet already, are you? Best keep clear of this mess. It's for your own good. Go find the pig before it's too late.
Why were you interested in this thing? Alright. That's... Alright. Someplace, somewhere, there's probably someone screaming, but not my problem right now. Yeah. How are you doing this evening, Minty? Hopefully you're doing better than me. Hopefully better. Da, 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 da. What is it? How'd your character be named if he had Japanese origins? I don't know. I'm not fluent in Japanese. As much as I would love to be fluent in Japanese, and what's more, this game is a Chinese game, so it's not explicitly Japanese, so it's not Japanese, like, related to either. Like, I don't know. I'm not really great with languages. I had to learn, like, a few months ago that apparently I was really shit at languages. Like, I even struggled with English when I was younger. So, yeah. Just trouble every which way. There we go. Okay. It's Chinese, not Japanese. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jason. Was wondering, I was like, oh, what would be for Japanese origins? And it's like, unrelated to this game. Because this game isn't Japanese, it's Chinese. Journey to the West is a very Chinese story. Now, they don't exactly have, like a thing own Buddhism or anything like that. The author is a huge, huge fan of Buddhism, by the by. Because we're playing a Chinese game, YY. So the question of, like, what would your name be with Japanese origins feels a bit confusing. Like, asking about Japanese origins while we're playing a Chinese game. It's that. That's the part that confuses. Alrighty, let's deal with you before we... There we go. Alright, now to do the stuff of nightmares. Fuck you. Alright, apparently we can make new medicines. Instantly gains a considerable amount of might using the Withered Silkworm and Gold Lotus. Cool. But we can reignite our spark in a few things. So this is for the mobilization stuff. Excuse me. Each talent level moderately reduces the stat of all action while it's active. Each talent level significantly increases the ratio of mana converted to damage. Depletes stamina, but massively increases the critical hit chance. Alright, and then this was our... Alright, but let's deal with the Pluck of Many. Increase the health of duplicates. Increase the duration. Hitting increases the duration, increases the health. Grants a moderate amount of focus for each successful light attack dealt by... Yeah, let's go with you. There we go. Alright. Cultivate spirits. Let's have a look. What do we got for spirits? None white, none able. The old ginseng. Where are the newbies? Scorpion Prince takes the form of a scorpion guai. Fling your tail to pierce and inject venom into the deal in a small area. Will take more damage. Then we got the Beetle Captain. Takes the form, soars into the air to evade attacks, then dives down to hack at the foe upon landing. Increases maximum stamina, increases poison, increases burn resistance. It's a small amount of focus on hit. Increase the crit damage. Covers as moderate when being hit. After performing a thingy. Could not care about many of these. It'd be Grant Yotseo? Never heard of that before. Alrighty. Suspicious chest is suspicious. Fuck you, suspicious chest. There we go. Dun-dun. Oh, no, 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 no. Why would you put a chest here as if... Alright, so not that way. Not this way. Maybe this way then? Oh, it's the Bone Fellas again. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's been a while since I saw those snake guys. Oh. Well, that's just very fucking threatening, isn't it? Just, you know, a skulls for, you know, some random fucking skull throne. Oh, fuck you. Centipede. Oh. Whoa, Jesus! Oh, shit. Fuck you. You need to look at your ad schedule. It's trying to play ads that's not there. My thing says there's ads in progress. Twisted in form. I don't know what to tell you. Alright. Ding dong. Be back soon, you just visit. Sounds fair. Alrighty, let's try that skull throne nonsense again. Oh, that's disgusting how they just have the little ball thingamajiggies chasing after me like that. Oh, that's not fun. So am I supposed to run away from those rather than, like, and wait for them to explode, perhaps? This I'm fine with. I'm fine with, like, the centipede. I'm not... This I can, like, you know, not have a panic over. Here we go. Fuck you. That's it. I did it. Fuck all of you bugs. Oh, would you look at that? I even get his, like, little spirit. So obviously, what? I'm gonna, like, just start rolling around? Yeah. It's even funnier the second time. Alright, let's not go that way, just in case there's a thingy-madiggy here's. No, never mind, that was the way out. I am an idiot.
Grim and
Horse!
land. I came here from the New West for the wisdom of the 100-eyed one.
The who?
But he shut his doors and made me prisoner in this lair.
Okay.
Tales speak of these insatiable spider guys. They could use a strong male like me to consume and practice.
Ew.
Much I owe you today, my friend. Without your help, along the way, I would see no more of the Flaming Mountains. Ever heard tell of the Destined One, my friend? They say
I might have heard of him.
fights on a quest to bring back the Great Sage.
The great sage and my king once swore a brotherhood. After the sage fell, the king dismissed every one of us. He became someone, not himself. If the Destined One is really the one who can bring back the sage, he can count on my humble support.
My plea for aid was met only with silence along this path. But in turn, I've sinned through it all.
There's horse noises under his, voice.
I shall rely on none but myself. If none shall aid, I will act on my own. Should our paths cross at the Flaming Mountains, we'll toast to our reunion. Now, take great care.
My plea for aid was met only with silence along this path. But in turn, I've sinned through it all.
My mind is made, friend. If none should our path now.
My plea for
My mind.
Okay, so that's all of the dialogue. Pick that up. There we go. Well, we found all the, we found all his stuff until the thing. Yeah, he's a big horse. Look at him. Horse. Horse. Big horse. How's it going, Alex? You doing good? And anytime you see a horse-headed figure in Chinese myth, you just think of one of the Hell Guardians? Is that a thing in the... There we go. Oh, hey. Jade? Yay, Jade. Alrighty. But yeah, I'm not familiar with the so-called, what's-mahoozy Guardians, I'm sorry to say. There we go. Oh, sorry, I felt a breeze on my ankle. That kind of made me concerned. But yeah. Hi there, Alex Archer. Well, how's it going? Good to... I'm just at work now. How have I been? I have been having an absolutely shit time. I have had to deal with all kinds of bugs and creepy crawlies. There was a number of spiders for a while, which is why I put the arachnophobia warning on here. Oh, and right now I'm dealing with... I didn't know they could leap. I didn't know that was a thing they could do. I didn't know that they could just leap up into the air like that. Well, you chose to play it. I didn't know there was going to be spiders in this one. I didn't know there was going to be a spider level. I only ever had to deal with spiders in, like, Dark Souls shit. And in Bloodborne that one time. It's not my fault. Shouldn't be my fault. I'm not sure if it's even related. You're just thinking of the ox head and the horse face. You can still explain yourselves there, Jack. Like, I can sit in my VC and you explain in the VC your, like, ramblings on about the horses and the oxes. God, I sound like I'm, like, a furry trying to, like, talk to their furry child about the birds and the bees, but without, you know, going with, like, you know, the normal birds and the bees. I'm just sort of like, son, I know you have a lot of questions, but I understand that there will be more questions after I'm done with this, but I'm going to need to explain to you about the horses and the ox. Hi there, JCat. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing all right. I'm gonna be in my VC just in case Jack wants to slip in and explain to me what the fuck the ox head and the horse face are. Oh, fuck's sake. Stole my mana, but that's fine. So I wanted to open this thing. So I broke the seal there. Alrighty, here we are. Yeah. You'll hunt them. Thank you, Alex Archer. You got your delivery info for Epic Mickey reimbursed? Nice. Wait, isn't Epic Mickey like a game that's like 20 years old at this point? Oh, no, 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 no. Thankfully, I did not die then. Almost. Almost got him.
Nani?
Rebrushed. Oh, okay. Because you are the smart... Why? Alright, we'll be real. I don't know why JCat thinks you would be, like, the best option, but it is. There we go. How can you help here? You can explain to me about the whatsamahoozy, the ox head and the horse face. Because you said there was like a whatsamahoozy thing? There we go, dealt with all of those. They're out of the way again. That is a GrantZeebs? Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. How's it going, Brangatong? Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Brangutang? No, Brangutang. That's how it's supposed to be pronounced, right? Brangutang? The fuck is... Oh, because that's not threatening at all. That's not a trap, just seeing like a random hand across like a long fucking arm. It's at this point we swap over to the staff. And then, let's see, so we got this thing here. Damn it. Alright, let's get a little bit closer. Alright, charge it up, charge it up. Charge it up. Oh, so I'm just supposed to accept this? Can I walk past it? I kind of don't want to. I know this is a threat. I know this could be a trap. But if I'm prepared for the trap, is it still a trap? Just finding ways to avoid work at the moment. Ah, okay, fair enough. Well, watching me is probably a really good way to do that. But yeah. Pretty sure if I know it's a trap when I'm going into it, it's not really a trap, right? Hold their hand. Let's see, let's see. Oh. The Buddha's right hand? The fuck? The Buddha's right hand is meant to be bigger than that. Yeah. And I completely missed that. Oh, come on. Oh, that's a disgusting face. There we go. An odd Yaguai killed. An odd mirror presented. Shake my hand. Come on, boys. Won't you shake an old sinner's hand? Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? A trap is still a trap when you knowingly walk into it? Well, that's unfair. I thought it would be like a face-off or something. But hey, oh, you helped me. Why are you helping me?
I've laid your path for you. But where will my path be? From now on, we're both on our own.
Yeah, okay.
Tell me, Monkey, what's it like out there? Beyond these mountains?
You know, forests, another set of mountains. There's always a mountain. Always a mountain. Hey, more fine gold threads. Although, oh, past echo. Okay, so we do have a key item now. And now we have the Bodhisattva. Yeah, because I was about to say, the Buddha has like a much different kind of look to him. Excuse me. All right. It's a face-off only when you're successful and they're there. Well, they were, weren't they? Looked like they were. All right, so that can be sold for a pretty penny. Those can be sold for a lot of pennies. Not knowing what use it may serve, it is advised to stow it for now. Cool. When the Yellow Emperor visited the Queen Mother of the West, she crafted 12 mirrors as offerings. Among these, one had the unique ability to reflect the body's internal organs, known as the Bone-Reflecting Mirror. This mirror was once prized in the Qi court before it disappeared. That's called an X-ray. Good on you for making an X-ray. And I didn't even dodge that one. Alright, do not go that way. Looks like there's a... So, second sister. The elder Amor worm, centipede guai, the Bodhishtavas, the hen that plucked lotus from waters pristine, of the same species, yet not from the same egg, it seems, who can discern right from left in life's uncertain scheme. In this tangled web, truth and illusion gleam. Cool. Alright. Alright, do we want to go down a few things, or do we want to... Can we take the bridge? I don't think we can. Doesn't look like the bridge is complete. Which is the upsetty thing. Well, I know how to get back there if I need to, so... Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. So yeah, so we'll go this way first. We'll go the place wherever this takes me. Is this just taking me back to the beginning? No. No, because we've been descending, so... Oh, there he is. There's our buddy. He's looking a bit, you know, worse for wear right now. Big day.
Big day. Big day. Big day. Big day. Big day.
Shut it. Faster.
Oh yeah, I need to double check if there's any unskippable nonsense.
Hurry, they're here.
So excited about the wedding. Been dreaming about yours.
Little brat. Dead. Come here.
Stop it. I take it back. Hey, look, the groom is here.
Apologies for keeping you waiting, sisters.
Wow, is he really the one Mother's been expecting? I thought he would look better.
He's not much to look at, but as long as Mother is happy.
Not much of a looker, but quite a fighter though. Had to use Mother's ancestral vessel to take him down. Still aching.
Aren't you diligent? Such a rare catch. Why not let us sisters have it first?
Think before you talk. This is the one Mother is set on. One scratch. And none of us would like the results.
What would this marriage change?
Why are they going on about a marriage?
Down to this generation after another. Even you like this farce. Go. Go ahead and watch.
Sisters, the feast is yet to start. Don't tell me you're drunk already.
Right, he's nothing but Mother's meal. No need to make a big fuss over him. Here, he is all yours.
You've done great.
Wait. Mother has grown soft with age, and the girls are too young to know better. But can't you see it's all wrong?
Yes, but try to think from her position. We're her children. This is what we do.
But I am on her side. For decades, she's been tortured by her wound, all thanks to this dumb thing. And yet, she still wants to marry him. No! I can't do this anymore.
Love is not about forgiving or getting even.
It is never a fair game. It's about two souls woven together by fate.
But
Neither of us was born then. We never witnessed our past. That's why we can't understand her obsession today.
have you told Uncle?
Let's worry about that later. Though her joy is borrowed, it's still joy before it's returned. You, come with me. Ahead is Mother's chamber. Now listen carefully for your own good. Mother is usually nice. Only she prefers to dine alone. You wouldn't want to disturb her. And don't look at her in the face, especially her eyes.
Alright.
Hurry, we are running out of time.
Do not look at her eyes. Noted.
Words. Keep them in mind.
Go, there's no time to waste.
I have been waiting for so long. Years up there haven't been kind to you. But you're with me now.
Damn, you're old.
Let the feast begin!
Alright, so do I have a way of dropping down there? No, not really. Okay. Alright, so it looks like I still need to take the bridge then. Although I do not know how to get back to it. Oh wait, hang on, there's a path? No, there is. That's not a path. Hang on. What am I missing? So we go down here. We went through here. We watched some dialogue. Oh, there we go. Alright, hang on. Sorry, I'm just needing to double check a few. So we did the fox, got the spell. Alright. It's alright, take it. The hijack and others are... Okay, so... Hello. Alright, so... Fuck you, spider. There we go. Get rid of you.
A monk?
There we go. That was an easy fight. Easy fight, easy clap, get clapped. Oh my god, this is spinning my head. I don't like dealing with these particular bugs. Let's get out of that. There we go. Got rid of you. Alright, let's take our time. There we go. There we go. By doing 3 charges, we don't have to deal with the flying bugs that will just, like, periodically disappear. God damn you. God damn you. God damn you. Fuck you. Ow. Fuck you. Eight bugs. This better be worth it. Ooh. I can use the Mind Core to level up my health, another thingy-majiggy with the Celestial Orb. That will be nice and juicy. God damn you. Why are there so many bugs? Fuck you, all of you. Alrighty, hopefully because of this side entrance, there's something here. Ah. Little moment of zen. Is that it? Alright, hang on a second. I am going to get... Hang on, I'm just going to put my watch on charge and get a bottle of water. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Oh, hey, and there's someone in my, Discord. Hang on a second. Gonna move him on over into here. Hello, Jack. Uh-oh, something just crashed. I heard a noise. I heard a very bad noise.
What kind of bad noise?
Like a Windows, like, dun-dun.
Oh, I am so sorry. That is my entrance.
Oh, no. Why? Oh, no!
I mean, it's either this or my default scream, which I think the error sound would scare more people than my scream.
The error sound is not the best noise to give to someone in the middle of streams.
I am so sorry.
Because I was just like, uh-oh, what broke? Because the thing is, it's like, if it's OBS, I can't touch OBS anymore.
Oh dear god.
Yeah, exactly, so... But yeah, welcome, Jack. Good to have you.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, how long were you waiting for? Because I'm sorry I didn't, like, pull you in sooner.
No, don't worry about it. I don't actually remember how long I've been here.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Alrighty, so it looks like there's a... Oh yeah, you can't see what I'm doing right now, so you have like a couple second delay and you have to deal with like all the advertisements.
Oh, that's fine.
1080p, 15 frames a second.
Jesus, are you sure?
Yes. It's gonna be a really low frame rate. Alright, so if I offer incense to this one... Ah.
Lovingly clear out the spiders from there.
Oh. Oh. Alright, and I have some spark. I have 3 spark. So I can increase the health, and then additional duplicate at the cost of considerable mana, increases the damage dealt. At appropriate times, they can use Immobilize, Ring of Fire, and Rock Solid.
You just reminded me that I should probably check if my brother has this game, because I might have to actually tell him about the spiders.
Yeah. Highly
No,
recommend.
he doesn't. Okay.
Okay.
He doesn't. That's good. He has a very bad phobia of spiders, and unfortunately, I was the one that caused it.
What did you do?
Do you ever see those rubber spiders with the legs that go all noodly?
Yes.
This thing was the size of like someone's face. Yeah, it was that big.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar with those. Those have been followed. Those have been dropped on my face in the middle of school.
In the case of my brother, he did not have arachnophobia before, but after one moment of anger, I threw this thing at him when he was coming up the staircase. He didn't fall down the staircase, luckily, but it scarred him for life.
It would do that. You're absolutely right. It would. How?
Yeah. He blames me for that, and I fully
rightfully
admit, yes,
so.
it is. Yes, I know. It's an awful thing to do, but I was mad, and we were dumb kids, so yeah.
It's just really unfortunate that this really early learning experience has unfortunately now just like forever shaped their experiences with spiders.
Look, like, I'm also afraid of butterflies. How do you think, like, butterflies are in every fucking game?
Yeah, and they're normally used. They're normally used as like. Here's the thing as well. Is like spiders like covering a character and shit does not happen. I can think of several like movies where it's like, oh, the butterflies are used to like shroud the person. So I imagine like that's a bit of a oothies for you.
That's awful for me. That's genuinely awful for me.
Yeah.
I woke up screaming from a fucking nightmare once where my entire room was just covered in butterflies. That was actual nightmare feel. Woke up screaming.
Yeah. So, phobias, irrational fears. They're not irrational. They are very rational in our mind.
I think the funniest reaction I've ever had was, there's an electronic toy called a butterfly in a jar.
Butterfly
which is kind of like
jar?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little... the contraption's stuck on the lid, and then there's a long wire that's attached to, like, a butterfly or something, a fake butterfly. And if you were to tap the table or make some noise near it, it will start fluttering, quote-unquote, like crazy around the jar. And it makes a very distinct noise that actually sounds like if you were to take a butterfly and put it in a jar. Yeah, I once walked into one of these stores that sold all these knickknacks and stuff. I heard the thing. I never saw it. I heard it. I ran out the store.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, what happened? What? And I was like, is there a butterfly in a jar somewhere in there?
What happened? What happened to you? The voices!
It's just like, what happened? The voices! The voices! They're after me!
Hi, Wild Saber. Welcome to the stream. This is gonna be arachnophobic as fuck, this chapter. I hope you're doing alright. Welcome.
Oh, God.
You're now hyped for when a Season 2 gets announced for the anime Drifters. The post of Drifters is 2 godlike beings summon historical... Oh, yeah, no, I'm familiar with... That's a manga. The guy who made Hellsing, or it definitely looks like the art style. That's an isekai. It's an isekai manga filled with like Obanagwa from Japan and a couple other like historical figures all across Japan. And then there's like random like Scorpio and some other peeps. Turns out as well, in this isekai genre, Hitler is referenced as well.
Dear God.
So yeah, but don't worry, that's not the most egregious thing. The most egregious thing is there's a number of religious figures, or there's a number of like Christian believers, historicals, figures that are Christian followers. They are on the villain side, and I'm pretty sure the villain is Jesus. Because he's got holes in his hands, as if like he's being nailed through them, and he does this thing where like he's able to like quickly replenish like stocks of food, so like wheat turns into full-on stockpiles, and then he has like a copper dragon grow cancer growths, so then that way they're just forever cutting this copper dragon for bits of copper. Sorry for spoiling it for you, but that's not the whole point of Drifters. Welcome, Cap. I am now dealing with a frog.
Is this about Jesus enemy? Because I have a fun knowledge of Jesus in China.
I guess the Japanese don't really have much of a care for Jesus, but it's weird to think of like, oh yeah, the antagonistic side has to deal like their leader or what have you is this dude who is able to like replicate all these like, you know, whatever the fuck it is that he touches, like meat, crop up, and like he can force people to have cancers and such. And it's like he's got holes in his hands, and it's like, geez, I wonder who this could be.
What media is this from? It sounds like Drifters. Ah, I have not known this. The manga?
Awful that I don't keep up with manga and anime at all, and I'm hearing all this, and I'm like, damn, this shit's wild, man.
Also, did you know gaming? There was I believe he didn't become an emperor, but like a Chinese warlord who claimed to be the brother of Jesus Christ, and he killed like a few fucking billion people, I believe.
This does sound like something I think I was referred to in a TikTok about Jesus' brother just randomly in China, and it's just like, never heard of such a thing before.
Ah yes, Hong Xiu Quan.
That's his name?
Yeah.
That is certainly a name.
Yeah, he was the leader of the Taiping Rebellion.
Hey, more tadpoles. Oh! And the Buddha's left hand, or Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva, thank you. The Bodhisattva's hand. So I now have both his left hand.
I'm pretty sure he was a Buddha.
Well, okay, he was a Buddha, but he's not the Buddha.
Well, there's no the Buddha. The Buddha is a title, I believe.
I'm pretty sure Buddha is a dude. Like, I could be wrong about my religious figures, but I'm pretty sure Buddha is like an actual like being.
No, Buddha in Pali Sanskrit means awakened one, which is a title.
Ah, okay.
In Buddhism.
Kind of like the sage, the sage above heaven or something like, or sage equal to heaven.
Yeah. Sort of. Well, yeah.
Alright, okay. Oh, the first Buddha is a dude. Yeah. Well, every first is a dude. Even the first female pilot, Amelia Earhart, is a dude, colloquially. Just it's a unisex term now, dude. You never heard of like, no, never mind. Oh, fuck. Shit. Fuck you, spider. I hate this. Did I tell you how much I hate this?
Pretty sure you did.
Good. Because I hate it. Same as Wukong is called the Warrior Buddha. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was one of the titles Wukong had. Bam. There we go. I have no idea where I'm going, but... Ugh. Hey, another, Alright. So, I also need to head back to the village, because I need to pick up some greens. And plus, you get to see the tiger.
Is he a hunk?
You be the judge.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. But yeah, how have things been going, Cap?
Things have been going swimmingly. I've got the house to myself for like 2 weeks because my mum's doing missionary shit. My new PC came in.
The fuck is missionary?
Like, Christian shit.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking of entirely different missionary.
Please don't try to fuck my mum. I know she's freshly divorced, but please.
No, that wasn't what I was thinking. I thought she was going on like a journey or something like that. Because you're like, oh yeah, she's doing a missionary thing, and I was like, a sex journey? Like that's the first thing that popped into my head was like, oh, it's gonna take me. It was gonna be like, for some reason, like a plot in a fucking poor, like, you know, buddy travel film where it's like, oh, I'm gonna see this
Journey to the West, but with sex.
Oh my god.
Is the Journey to the West a buddy journey film?
Not quite the hour yet,
Journey to the West, but Wukong pulls his dick out as many times as he can.
Did you know, like, during the Journey to the West, there's apparently, like, a village just filled with women?
Yeah, and the river makes them pregnant, and there's canon Empreg.
Yep, that was a thing I learned from YouTube. And
Let's get Zhu Baiji pregnant.
Yeah, and the leader of, like, the village of women and such like that wanted to marry the monk, but he was, like, you know, devout Buddhist, and he was just like, no, I can't do that.
Please, I have no interest in women.
Yeah.
Look at all these hunks I've got. I've got this little brat twink, Wukong.
So here's
I've got
this
this
is brat.
Dilf Baiji.
So we've got just, you know, impulsive monkey, brat dog, sobering monkey over here.
Sobering monkey.
Drops, honey brew.
So, oh hey, we can upgrade the gourd. There we go. The medicine Buddha gourd. For a brief moment after using the gourd, slowly... Oh, that's the soaks. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, now it's got like 9 uses, and then we can upgrade a drink. Ooh, I can upgrade the lamb's brew. So it increases the number of slots for soaks. It reduces the amount of health recovered from using the gourd, but enhances the effect of the continuous recovery. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna go with the lamb brew.
Such fine brew would fit your gourd well.
So, because I reckon that would be the better one. And then this guy, the Immortal Blessed Gourd. Health recovery is halved, but attack is increased for a short duration after using the gourd. Oh, and that's using the left and right hands. So that's what it's used for.
Ooh.
Alright, grabbing that.
Honestly, I wish gourds were still the primary water bottles.
Unfortunately, most people are trying to commodify the gourd, or because of, like, Black Myth Wukong, and they all look like shit, because it's just, oh, here's some cool plastic, and I'm like, no. Gourd, give
me an actual gourd.
Give it to me like the monkeys in China. Give it to me.
Give me the cool gourd.
Give me an authentic gourd, please.
You know that motherfucking water gotta be fresh as a motherfucker in a gourd.
Oh, I can.
Like, I know it's like just based on like what's in the tap,
yeah,
or like where you get the water from, but like it's in a gourd. It's got to be like some special fucking.
How come
Oh.
you bear it? If
Oh.
you leave it with me, I will
This guy a
be
hunk.
most eager to delve into its study.
Eccentric dragon.
Soon.
Yeah, and dragon hot, dragon sexy,
dragon old.
Yeah, you not.
Yeah, dragon dilf even.
Dragon old.
Oldest code, perhaps.
Oh, that was a mistake. That's not what I was meant to do. All right, over to Tiger or Lion. I think he's Tiger.
He's a tiger. My man hot.
Armor and arms.
Oh my god. On the bed, over the counter, on the stairwell,
Jesus fucking Christ.
on the lounge, watching TV, over the coffee table.
So everything uses fine gold threads, and I got like 7 of them now. Performing light attacks following evanescence triggers the finisher.
Evanescence?
I'm just like reading all the different things that I have.
Wukong, a fan of Evanescence, confirmed.
Wake me up inside.
Can't wake you up.
Can't wake up. If you do exclamation bonk and then one of their names like Jack or Capricious, then it should bonk them.
Excuse me, why are you bonking me?
I think they'd be bonking me.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Welcome back, Jason. Welcome.
Welcome, Jason.
Jason. Alright.
Jason.
Let me just really quickly swap my gourd from the medicine Buddha to the immortal. And then instead of going for this one, let's go for while perfect dodging, recover stolen mana, critical hit chance. Okay, how dumb would it be if I just increase the amount of like poison damage I do?
Lean on is a thick skull. What's fair to the eye may prove foul to handle.
You ready?
You gotta know that man's beefy under there.
Edge sharpened, arm restless. I was looking for someone to test it. Mark me. This blade is cast from the best metal. Don't blame me if you hurt yourself.
Okay, but why isn't Wukong simply kissing him?
You can take him in a fight, right?
Ooh. Boy.
Ow. Fuck you.
Damn. I like how you still have Mayuri's Bankai equipped.
Oh!
Split the shrouded sky.
Look at how they're all British, even though they're Chinese.
They know.
Trick.
He's what you would look like if you were British or Chinese.
Oh. Ah, damn it, he got me with the wind.
The Zodiac deities never hold back. You're far below him. Train well before returning here.
He's respectable, I like it. What a hunk.
Yeah.
I want to challenge him to something else.
In a fight.
Oiled
right?
up, twerk off.
Are you about to crawl through the screen just to kiss him?
Nah, I'm gonna crawl through the screen, oil him up, challenge him to a twerk
Oh
off.
my god, Jesus.
Back scratcher!
Come get your back scratchers!
Alright, so we have increasing resistance, poison, recovery, moderate defense. Upon successful hits with light combo, moderately... Okay, we're gonna go with that one. This one does considerably increasing the defense. So yeah, it gives me like 32 defense. Moderately increases chill, resistances. So yeah, I'm wearing the turtle thingy. This makes it so I do considerably more damage, but when I'm at critical health. Yeah, nothing else has like a good amount. These are the long scaled. I don't know what the Vengeful Mirage is the problem. So I'm not too sure like where Vengeful Mirage comes up. Perfect dodges. Resolute strike. Sweeping gale. Churning gale. Forceful thrust. Yeah, I don't know where Vengeful Mirage is. But yeah, no idea where it is. Let's try this again.
What rags
Run it back.
No one. Edge sharpened. Arm restless.
No sense.
Let's get his ass.
Oh. Hey, there we go. Get fucked, sir. Ah, I didn't know how to time that one.
The Zodiac deities never hold back.
Apparently there's like quote-unquote like one punch builds that people have made where they do like all this extra prep nonsense exactly like they do in Elden Ring, and then it's just a case of just like afflicting yourself, setting up, and then bam, fight. Does the dragon have anything for me?
I just want to hear what this guy sounds like in Chinese.
With no one else around. No hot day.
As tempting as it is to swap it to Chinese, a number of peeps are a bit meh on doing that because the subtitles, I can't expand upon their size, so it's difficult to follow conversation that way.
No worries. No, I'm just curious because I've seen way too many people play this game in English, which kind of weirds me out. This is probably the only game that actually weirds me out that you guys are playing it in English.
No, fair enough, because like the thing that gets me is the lip syncing doesn't match up.
Does it match up in English either?
No. So what I mean is it doesn't match up in English right now.
Yeah.
So, and going into Chinese, as great as that would be, it like viewers would be confused by what they're saying and it would be trying to read the subtitles, and I don't have it so that this game is like, you know, presenting all of it and I'm not in the way or whoever else is. Alright. Now, I need to double check. Was there any... So I've gotten, like, the immortal thingamadiggy. Skanda. Thankfully, it's easier. Purifying Spring Shrine in the Web Hollow. Okay, so... Not... this thing. Yeah, this is where we fought, like, the Buddha Vista thing. Ignore the fact that it's just forever raining. So, cross this hand thing, and then there's like a...
I shall BRB.
BRB? Not to worry, you BRB. Yeah. Alright, so, because one of the things that, like, there it is. Sorry, I almost missed it. There was a bridge here. Oh, it does go all the way. Okay.
Oh boy, that is certainly a bridge. Holy shit.
It is certainly a bridge.
I have a fear of heights as well, so a bridge like that, I would be terrified to cross.
Well, here's the thing, all right? I won't look down, all right? You just have to look at just.
No, I mean this is in game. If I was there on this bridge physically, I would be terrified to cross this.
Oh, so we don't have a problem if we just do this?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
You're waking up the whole neighborhood, man.
They put this here. Besides, have they not been hearing all the monkey noises? Besides, look, they're dead. See? Dead.
Smash the bug.
It's such a silly thing, but I love it. I love it that I can, like, it only works on the smaller enemies, but it's like, excuse me while I just really quickly stun lock, because they have enough, like, super armor to stop them from flinching too far back. So I just start going, it's just so silly. I love it.
It's great.
Yeah. And what's more is it's also a good way of, like, charging up my, focus. So, because I feel like I get more from doing it that way than I do otherwise, because it's, like, on a per hit thing.
I actually hate this. That fucking chest. I've actually seen a chest like that in real life. What the hell? My dad deals with antique furniture. I've seen a lot of furniture. Oh god.
This is why I am not gonna fuck around, and I'm just gonna stab him. Because Lord knows.
Why they got hands?
Those aren't hands.
Why they can reach out and hug you, bro?
Not for hugging. Oh, do not get closer. Do not get closer. I know this might be boring, chat, but safety is boring. Ask any OSHA officer. Also, this one doesn't have, like, any safety rails, so... Yeah.
Yeah, you would not... You can offer me all the money in the world. I will never cross that bridge.
There we go.
Those are hugging arms, man.
Those aren't hugging arms. Now, thankfully, that should be it. Oh, you sneaky motherfucker. I saw that. You were gonna have me, like, fall off that bridge, you sneaky bug. Sneaky bug. It was gonna shoot me, and then I would have to, like, fall and deal with whatever the fuck was down there, or death.
Pretty sure death, because that's a really far drop, isn't it?
Who knows?
Licorice. Why licorice?
Why not? It's off a plant. There we go.
Oh. Chinese licorice is actually used in traditional Chinese medicine. Huh.
Damn! Must be how they make the flavor.
Collected in spring and autumn, it's sliced
Cookie
and
for
sun-dried,
Bookie.
and either used unprepared or stir-baked in honey. Oh.
There we go. Bookie going fishing.
What'd they get? What'd they get?
Let's see. Oh, they caught something.
Oh, what'd you get?
A scraper mouth umbuna. Hey, another mine core. And more of the, weird fruit. Or the fragrance vine. There we go. There we go. Alright. But yay! This place doesn't want to fucking kill me as much. Correction. There isn't... It doesn't want to kill me as much as it was back in the cave, and I'm fine with that. Oh, he dead already. Never mind.
For what deed must then be a for all to see? What must the one they go and roam free? For what deed must all out he? For what deed thirsty hands so woeful? For what deed must the yellow one to the shrine? In the air.
What in the world is this guy talking about?
It's fucking poetry, I think.
So...
Who's out here reading poetry, man?
I don't know. But a lot of these bugs are...
Did you get the tiger?
No, I didn't get the tiger. So we went back over to the webbed hollow, and thankfully, I am in a place that isn't infested with webs. Instead, I'm getting killed by dual-wielding cicadas.
We gotta get Spider-Man on some chastity belt type beat. He's gotta stop shooting webs everywhere.
Oh dear God.
Hey, I didn't have a problem inviting them. Also, there's a lot of ooh. Jade Lutis.
Oh, water physics.
Yeah,
I would not trust that water. I can't see what's below.
What do you mean? What do you can't trust what's below? Like, it's stagnant water, which is the problem. Ignore the skulls.
Ignore the skulls.
There we go. Yeah, just ignore the skulls. Don't think too hard about it, alright? It looks like there's someone over there. And Bookie got themselves some muscle. You're gonna bring a big pack of Pepsi cans to the party so you can crack open a cold one IRL? I look forward to it.
Why is there just a plane flying over my house? Excuse me, sir. Can you go away?
Excuse me while I get... My frame rate dropped when I did that, but I still win. I win.
Congratulations, you are the powerhouse of the cell.
Regain all of my what's-my-whoosy nonsense. Alrighty. So yeah, there's... whoever the fuck that is.
For all his foresight, Yuan the Sign Teller could never have known that. I've hidden upon his garb.
Glug, glub, glug,
as a
glug,
pattern.
glug.
Uh-oh.
Our sire gave his life to pave the way for the journey. And not a day passes that we do not yearn to avenge him. Yet
Yellow.
every day, we find ourselves adrift without a home to call our own.
Damn, he's got handlebars.
I'll kill you to unbind our destinies.
He wants to kill us.
I mean, what?
Just kill him quicker, you know? Easy fix.
Oh, some of them use their gourd? The heck?
I know this game is less Devil May Cry and more Dark Souls, but I'm really surprised there isn't like a taunt button.
I think it's just... oh, that's some explosion. Oh! Oh! I have no clue how... ooh! Ah! That hurt. I wasn't able to do my pluck like the second time then, which I think would have been really helpful.
Oh, yikes.
Yes, big yikes. Plus, I have to deal with thunder. So I'm probably gonna swap out the miasma pills for the thunder pills. So. Bruise. Hi there, Freckles. Welcome to the stream. Alright.
Freckles.
Freckles. Alright, so moderately increases crit chance. Increases shock. I like my thing doing the crit thing, Madoog. Alright, let's have a look. So, rather than using the frost guy, let's try immune to frost wielding the longsword that unleashes frost brain. Focus builds up before transformation can be converted for use afterwards. Alright, let's give that monkey some like usage. Make medicines. Let's have a look. How much? Considerably increase the maximum. Alright, let's do that. Maximum stamina, maximum health. Upon considering increase. Let's go for one Reviews. Moderately increased critical hit chance for a long time. So that's the amplification pills. Types of doing. Body warming, body cooling. Evil repellent. Shock quelling, there we go. And then what's this one? Mirage pills. Upon use, instantly regain a considerable amount of might. Don't exactly have a lot to make it. No. So instead of using exclamation point SO, you use the Twitch one, which is the / shoutout now. That's what you use from now on. This is so then that way, like, if I do share chats with anyone else, I'm not having one of my moderators or myself if I'm a moderator, you know, do the double thingy-majiggy. There you go. That way it saves up on, like, you know, chat log nonsense. Oh, wait, I already did that. Alright, alright, let's have a look at armors. So, it's all golden and embroidered shit, which wouldn't help me too much. Do I have anything I could reignite my spark into? Something helpful. Slightly increases the damage dealt by duplicates when using another spell. Further increases the damage. Yep, let's go with that. Actually, color me curious. Because that's my critical hit chance. That's my maximum mana. It's not just... I'm gonna reclaim those sparks. So then that way I can... So I can grab this. Each talent level grants an additional duplicate at the cost of considerable mana. That way I save up for 2 when I complete that. So then the pluck of many... Unless... I'm not... No, that's helpful there. Grab you back. That's helpful. This is the smash stuff.
Probably so much thinking goes into playing as Wukong.
Yeah. Health.
You assume it'd be mainly Wukong saying hit him until he's dead.
Yeah. Alright. There we go. So we've gone like for a full stack of like Whatsamahoozie. So we'll see how that goes. And then... But yeah, so observe as I now like go through so many drugs. What are you doing in there? Drugs. And then...
That sounds like something Wukong would do.
And then we put it to the...
He probably would.
Top one. Makes it less susceptible to interruptions. And then... all actions cost. Upon use, massively increases attack, critical chance. Alright, let's put you down at the bottom thing, so then that way I can get to you once I do the strand nonsense. There we go. Oh my god, that was one of my monkeys that did that. There we go. Oh, there we go. There we go.
hands on him.
Alright, so then we swap from that guy to... upon use. Let's use you. Me just like really quickly like just setting things. Alright, so we've already got the tenacity.
Don't worry, he'll wait for you.
Upon use, instantly recover full health and restore. Okay, we'll save that. Put you down here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, shit, 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 shit! Drink. Alright, I'm gonna use it now. I'm gonna use the life-saving pill.
Good move.
Oh, the game is slowing down because of all the fucking nonsense here. Alright, I'm gonna use the thing that gives me might. You. There we go.
Boy.
Yes! Oh, it's because I did.
Shit, that's how we do it.
I did a perfect dodge, and because he was winding up for the next attack, the perfect dodge did a lightning like burst because of my armor.
Sire's head was hung when he defied the celestial court. We dreaded the Jade Emperor's wrath and pleaded with Master Yuan to help us abscond from our waters. But he warned us we might hide for a time, but not forever. In the end, someone will come to claim our lives. He had more to say. Sires to sons, we are destined to die for the righteous cause. I trust him, yet I won't obey.
You don't have to die.
Path not once more be a mere thread in their grand design.
Oh! That's the... What the f... Oh, dragon. There we go.
brothers have been claimed. If not now, when will you reunite? Destiny repeats itself, always. Why not cast the die once more?
Ooh. Do we get ourselves a cool bladed staff? Oh no, the drinking monk is gone. See supporting tendons. And a kun steel. Oh, it's a spell. Golden Thunder, Lightning's Gift. A deadly dance, both cruel and swift. Transform into Yellow Long, gaining immunity to shock and the ability to see through the enemy. Each attack inflicts Thunderbane. You know, that's fine. I'm fine we get it as a spell. Because it means now that we've got something that can do a, like, fire damage, poison, frost, and lightning.
So you've got pretty much all elemental coverage.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so, yeah, if we swap from here to Golden Lining... Yeah, so Lightning Dance, Dance with the Blade of Lightning, slashing repeatedly with Death Defiance. Varied combo unscathed. Initiating a heavy attack during a light attack combo triggers a varied combo. If the enemy strikes during this varied combo, you'll be able to see through their moves and counterattack, earning 1 focus point. With at least 1 focus point, Death Trilogy replaces Fatal Shadow. Yellow Long leaps into the air, infusing the tip of his blade with thunder, slams onto the enemy's forehead, dealing massive damage. If followed by another heavy attack upon landing, another leap and slam can be performed. This sequence can be repeated up to 3 times. Once this move is executed, all focus will be emptied.
God dang.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool. And I get myself 1 spark, which I am immediately gonna put back into my, you know, increasing my critical hit chance. Oh, and we get another, so Lightning Flash. Moderately increases invincibility duration when seeing through the enemy. So there's all kinds of, like, because we... So these are obviously, like, things that can... I don't know if they improve during the transformation, or if they are things that improve Wukong, like, else times. But yay! And we got ourselves... Oh, a golden carp. Let's have a look at the golden carp. Fish! Moderately increases the chance of obtaining materials from defeated enemies. You know what? Sure. Fish. So yeah, we got ourselves sea supporting thingy, treat it with care, which will no doubt be used for like another weapon, which will give us like a really powerful fucking thing, no doubt. Observe.
Alright boys, we're gonna beat the shit out of this.
Fuck that bug in particular.
Jumped him.
Yeah. What's funny is this slows down my game as well. I have no hope in recuperating after this. It's just like, boom. No recovery. Oh, hang on. Something's shooting me.
Here comes the party.
Here's the thing. I don't know where to go from here. Oh, hello. It's just so funny every time. Oh, hey, I know this spot. It's on the other side. I was on the other side there, going around in circles like an idiot. And then... I bet you there's going to be another one of those, like, purple seal totem things.
Purple?
Yeah, there it is, right there. Okay, now I need to double-check some stuff. Sorry. Okay, hang on. So, the Venomous Arm Guard, I've already dealt with. Wait, no? And because of how, if you miss it, you can't go back and get it again. It's lost forever. This is because to attain, you must detach one of the Venom Daoist's extra arms on its back in either of your 2 fights against him. Targeting his back.
Hey, Daoist.
Oh. The Venomous Arm Guard is the final missing part of the Centipede, which is the perfect equipment for those who want to use a poison base. Oh, doesn't matter to me. The beautiful Purple Cloud Mountain is a secret area. It contains a few very challenging boss fights. To get there, you must find and defeat the Venom Daoist twice the first time. He's trapped in a large cocoon in the pool of Shattered Jade. After you defeat him there, he can be found again in a cave down a large slope at a short distance before the Court of Immolation. Once you defeat him the second time, he'll reveal an entrance to the Purple Thingamadoogs. Oh.
Anyway, I think we're gonna head out.
Not to worries. Ooh, find all the purple talismans.
Catch you, old gang.
Take the left path from facing the 100. Bye! Sure to take a look before you enter the final. If you do this, then you'll be prompted a brief fight against the Supreme Inspector, a deadly foe who you'll later properly encounter in Chapter 6. This fight is brought to an end before either of you win or lose, but it's a cool little secret detail of Chapter 4, which results in a stamina increasing celestial pill for the effort to take down all 4 talismans. 4? Opposite yellow long from the shrine at the end of the cave area. Oh, okay, so this is one of... What's Mahuzi's? Alright. Okay, so I haven't... So this would be number 3 then. Alright. Yeah, fuck it. Let's drop down. I got the thingy-majiggy to do the... I got the structure thing to be able to just go back if I need be. But it looks like it's giving me drops. Huh. Pew. I very much like this game. I don't know if you know. Besides the spider nonsense, it's like I like exploring, and this does like quite a bit for me, quite frankly.
It's a gorgeous game.
Yeah. This was like one of the first to be like developed in Unreal Engine 5, so it was like not an upgrade from like Unreal whatevers to 5. It was like they did it from the get-go, and this was meant to be the studio's like demonstration of like, this is what we make. So, yeah, and they did like a really good job with the visuals and such. Go. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. The spiders killed me. Dishes made of flesh? What? I know exactly. Alright, well, I know exactly what I'm doing. Because, like, once the spiders pop up, it's like, alright, try and as quickly as possible smash the monk's head down. I'll get it this time, don't you worry.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in you.
Believe. I know it's something that sounds like it's on a cat poster, but it's true.
Just gotta hit him with that. I love this stupid move, what the hell?
It's just so dumb. It really fucks up the frame rate, but I love the fact that I have my monkey posse to help me.
All right, boys, let's beat the shit out of this guy.
It's just like monkey.
It's not just one; it's just many.
Many.
Oh dear God.
Don't panic. Oh, wrong way.
The bridge.
Wait, is it? No, that is the right way. Shit. Yeah, so, okay, so it does just do death. Cool. Nice. Not doing that again. Falling. You will take damage if you fall from a great height. Wow. Will I now?
Thanks for letting me know.
I had to deal with like this jail or something like that. That one was far worse because there would be enemies that would just, you know, sort of punch you or something, and they always were like on the outside, so they'd push you into the hole.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just real annoying energies there. Alright. Oh, hello. It's just such a silly way of doing it, but it's just so satisfying. Alright, where's the bug? And there's a chest over there, which means that there's going to be more than just that bug. Oh, maybe there isn't any other enemies here. Nah, okay. We look to be good. Not of voidness. Noted, noted. Ah, and then it just puts me here. And I mistimed that. Well, I did take a detour to deal with Long over there when, so makes sense.
Yeah, that's alright.
So, is it needed?
A monk? Save him.
You're just like ignoring everyone.
Yep. Not my problem. I am right now engaging in exploration mode. Ow.
There was a incense thing back there.
Yeah, no, I already did the thingy-majiggy there, because this is me doing, like, backtracking nonsense.
And you may live.
So yeah, because It was like one I already did, because that's how I... Because it was near the, like, the frog lady, or something or other.
Ah.
So, and then after the frog lady, I went back to the thingy.
Shadows gather.
Sorry, I keep muting because the fighter jets keep flying over my house and it's pretty loud.
There we go. And then... Okay, this one I don't recognize. Hut of Immortality. Ah, okay. And I missed out on a spirit, the puppet tick. But yeah, alright. I am gonna call it here, because, like, we went back to the Hut of Immortality. I'm gonna double check a few things about this area for, like, my own time and what have you, so... But, yay! We're gonna be dealing with spiders again, no doubt, and it's gonna be fucking terrible. But it is what it is, so... Alrighty.
It is what it is.
Gonna snooze that alarm. I'm gonna head over to the chat room. And I'm just gonna hit the play on the music. And yeah, that is going to be it for me tonight. Jack, thank you so much for coming along and keeping me company. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to, you know, keep you occupied as well as I could.
I wish I popped in earlier, but that's alright.
Not to worry, not to worry. Alrighty. Now, before we all disappear, we should all go for a fun little raid. And I can see that Code the Yoshi right now is going through some Dragon Age Inquisition. So we're gonna go raid into Code. Let me just get to my raid channels. Following. Scroll down. Give me Code, damn you. There he is. So yeah, so we're gonna go right into Code shortly. Monkey Raid is going to be our... Or no, Himbo Monkey Raid.
Himbo Monkey Raid.
Himbo Monkey Raid is going to be our raid message into Code the Yoshi. Hopefully they're there. No, they're just listening to dialogue. That's why they're silent. Glad to catch a bit of it. Not to worry, Freckles. I'm glad that you're able to come around. I know, like, time zones aren't, like, 100% great, like, from Australia to, like, anywhere else around the countries and what have you, but I'm glad you're able to step in for a little bit and see what's what. But yeah, I am going to probably go through, like, Sweet Nothings on Wednesday. I'm going to be, like, exploring the different suggestions people have given me, and, like, I'm gonna be real with you, it's probably gonna be, like, something from my existing collection that I have not played on stream, like Spyro, or Crash Bandicoot, or the Nathan Drake, like, collection from Uncharted, but I'm gonna see what other people have recommended, because some of it is, like, I've heard of before, or I've played a tiny bit of it, and some stuff is, like, RTSs, and what have you, but yeah. Otherwise, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. Jack, thank you once again for keeping me company. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are, as we raid into Code the Yoshi shortly. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.